Um, I'm gonna say something, and I'm not picking on anyone, okay? So please don't take it the wrong way. Don't take it like I am, because I'm not defaming anyone's character. But I noticed something. I have, I'm messing with my own eyes, but I'm not picking, okay? I'm really not. The news is on, and this has happened before, and that's why I'm saying something. I don't know if it's always this way, but I'm noticing it because I don't usually watch the news, and because I thought um, that people aren't acting exactly the way they should be. And I detected this back at home in myself, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. Um, but the pupils on a lot of people are real big, and they shouldn't be on the TV. And I'm not saying they're drug addicts, okay? That's not what this is. But it was happening to me, and I didn't know it. I don't know if poison can do that or not. But I mean, if they don't know, that could be dangerous. Because I didn't know. I saw it myself. I was playing with my face, and I'm like, why are my pupils so big? And then it clicked. You know, something was going on. So, you have to watch yourself because, you know, even a little bit can mess you up, and then you don't even know. All right. So that's that. Um, I don't know. I'll have to try and call and get through, but it's a joke. I've been leaving messages and I'm not getting through. They don't really care. Of course, a lot of them might have policies. Um, which is not safe. You've got somebody who's got released something extremely important um, to inform the government and them. Usually they would be able to help. If I was Dave, if I was a serial killer and a pedophile, they would have fixed it. They would have listened. But because it's me, I'm not a menace to society, so they don't care. Just go lay down and die for us, please. That's pretty much their attitude. So, I got a bad haircut. They'd help. I got a bad haircut. Not that anybody cares. That's a whole lifetime. So, what was I going to say? All right, we're gonna talk about something. All right, this is an awkward subject. Some people aren't going to agree with me, and that's okay. You don't have to. All right, but some people might, and if you open your mind up, it might help. Okay, let's talk about the planet. It's Earth. I know they want to turn it into backwards world, but this is really Earth. Okay, I know I'm not on a ship. I'm not moving around. Okay, I'm sure that this is Earth. Although I've had to question that a few times, and I've questioned others. They think they're funny, wasting my time, risking my life and my kids' lives, goofing around. They think they're hysterical. I don't think they're funny. If it was them and it was their lives, they wouldn't think it was funny. Because it's me and my kids' lives, they think it's hysterical. The country's lives too. They're selfish, okay? Self-centered, self-serving, and greedy. Okay. So, um, that's it for that part. I want you to think about the world, okay? The planet. All right. In school, they want to teach you that the planet was just there, just sort of came and then over time, cells multiplied and created all these different forms of life. All these different forms just from one set of cells. So fish came from the same cells, and trees came from the same cells, and apes came from the same cells, and dogs and cats, and lions, and tigers, and bears, and everything. Okay, people. We all came from the same amoeba that then grew into something, and then isn't jiving, is it? It's really not jiving. It's not jiving. You know, think about it. I'm not being mean. I want you to think. I want you to open your mind up and think. Alright? How in the world did all of the different forms of life that we have, all the different species of animals, all the different species of trees and grass, all the different kinds of food, how did that all come from two cells? Alright, so where did it come from? What was the other theory? God created the planet and did so in 7 days. And then Adam and Eve lived on the planet. And then they had kids. And then their kids had kids. That wouldn't work either. We saw what happens when you do that in England. So I'm not buying that one. So let's just say that, let's look at it from a different way. A way that was taught to me. That makes some sense. Alright. So the planet was created. Okay. And then different forms of life were out there. And because there were different forms of life that were out there and they all looked different, they all traded, hopped, yeah, their original form, shape, body, okay, in for a new one, okay, which human, right? So basically they became souls for like a second. A body was provided to them to start out with, and they got inside of that body and became animated. Okay. So you, it sounds funny, but there's more to this. Okay. So you start out that way, all right, and that body then has all these different abilities and features. So think of it like a spacesuit or a bodysuit. But to make sure that everybody was like similar, you know, and not freaked out just by how different they all looked, they all got different ones. Okay? Just hear me out. I know it sounds kind of wonky, but it's when you really step back for a second. All right, so imagine if the people that were in control of this, okay, were in control of it for a reason, okay, and they assessed the safety of the new people that weren't people yet. They were technically aliens, but we're going to call them people because they all become people, okay? With the same flesh and bone and features. We'll call them features. This is awkward. So what they did was, this is just part of it. The new people that arrived, we'll say it that way, were then given a body or birthday suit. Birthday suit is like when you're first born, you get a, yay, it's my birthday. I'm sure you've heard that. So, then that body obviously could procreate. Now, you had to be assessed, so for safety. And certain ones were denied access due to their inability to cohabitate safely. Okay. Um, so they got a little mad. They got really mad. Um, so then they decided that they were going to basically take and because the people that were different species, but they were all human in the end, were scared. Um, they cowered because they were deemed safe. So they were peace loving and kind and normal. Okay. Um, so, uh, can I suggest something? What if you were the one that did that? What do you think the invaders that were denied access to safety or involved? Um, what do you think they might do? Um, well, let me talk about a memory I have. I don't know where this came from exactly. Once upon a time, long ago, I was, I think, in my house, but I don't remember exactly what the house looked like. And I, by telepathy, was told by a man I think whose name was Fred, who I think is also Dave, but I'm not sure, or a Dave, to turn on my clairvoyance that there was a invader and that he wanted me to peek in. Then all of a sudden, oh boy, this was forever ago. Might have been, this might have been something they just did. Um, these things showed up and they wanted to talk to the ruler or boss, like the person in charge. Okay. However, this ended up happening. It turned out to be me, and so was Fred. Um, Fred was really the one in charge of all this kind of stuff. But they turned around and gave us a creature named Edit to evaluate. Edit had long talon-like hands and big feet. Um, like I said, they might have done this. He was in a cage for a while because he was really big and scary. And couldn't communicate with him. He was a lizard, super giant. For the most part, Edit looked normal. He sat there calm. And then all of a sudden he... This one can't stay. So... access denied. Sent him back, I think. I don't think he got killed. I think we sent him back to send visitors down. So then they went away for a while, and they came back. They didn't look the same. They invaded and took control. They're not safe. So when this one does, I don't know. But I know that Dave had taught me, and they've come to me in the past long ago, with all these different species. Okay, And the way those species got here was like a spaceship Noah's Ark. That's how. So it's like a rescue mission because those things are space pirates and they go around out in space and they destroy stuff. So, planets. So he went out, one of them, I don't know which one. It might, I don't think it's our village, but it might be it. Went out and would pick them up and pick up their food. So, like, say he went to a planet and there were squirrels and trees. He would grab some squirrels and trees if they wanted to. He could talk to them. If you went somewhere else, another place, and they had kangaroos, he would pick those up and then also grab their food, whatever they ate, bring it back and transplant it here, and then now we have all these different. That's how, and different kinds of grass and different kinds of trees and different kinds of stuff. Okay. So when they were handing out bodysuits at first, or bodies, which I'm not gonna tell you where the design came from, but when they were handing them out, um, they, I think, I didn't again participate in this part, had people divided. Like you could choose. So they had like they were pretty much all the same, okay, but you could choose a boy or a girl, obviously, and they were pretty much the same because you could change them, okay. So and that's what people did. So I think it was like a tonality thing, skin color, like so you could have really really light or you could have medium, you know what I mean, different shades. I think I've seen like a they might have just made these, okay, but it's like a rack, and you could pick out different ones. It sounds gross. There's no blood or anything. It looks like clothes, but it's not. There's no nasties or anything like that. It's just, to show, all right, and then, so the different ones, they picked out what they wanted. So if there was, I don't know, make up a planet, um, way up, somewhere, and they came down and they were sitting up above the earth, and then they got clearance to come down and be checked out, and they checked out and they could stay, then they would trade in, their original form for a new bodysuit, and it could be whatever color they wanted, okay? But I think the way that it was set up originally, I could be wrong, okay? Um, different. They weren't invaders because they were welcome. They were welcome. They were placed in different geographical locations. Okay, and then you're not gonna like this one. The United States was pretty much left empty, and there was a reason. Which I will tell you, but man, are you gonna be mad? Okay, so like certain people decided, like one species, so to speak. I guess that's the right word, but they're not because they're human. Okay, after they get their body, they're a human being. They and then there's naturally born human beings. Okay, I don't. So, which everyone came after the first set. You have to remember that. Okay, so after the first set, they got their body. Once they had babies together and stuff like that, then now that's naturally born. Okay, so the first set, or after the first set, how do I explain this? So certain species, so to speak, were stuck in different geographical locations. Okay, so like say China, they may have chosen their own facial appearance or whatever, and and then you also have to think there's magic too. So what happened with a lot of people was they monkey around um with their faces, and then they would be looking at each other and they would pick up the different characteristics. This is what I was talking to you about falsely aging. Okay, you're looking at wrinkled up people on the TV and on the internet and in the newspaper and all these ads for health stuff. So you're not realizing it, but you're honing in on like certain characteristics on a person's face, like maybe, crinkles up here or stuff down here. And then that was actually would transfer on to the person's like the other person. So if you were in a family and you were looking at someone constantly, you could pick up their characteristics. Or if you were staring at a photo for a really long time. In the beginning, it was like that. You could do it like that. And then the visitors put time limits on stuff, and so did Dave. So at first, it was like if you wanted to change your eyes, you could do it in 5 minutes. Okay. And then if you wanted to change them, then it became an hour. Okay. And then they put it on your driver's license. So then it started to become impossible because it got ingrained in your brain. And then people are constantly walking up to you, talking to you about your eye color or whatever. And it screws you all up. Plus, they torture the shit. So that's number one. Okay. Which is wrong. All right. So that's number one. But from what I remember or knew or was told or taught, all of us should be able to do these types of things. All right. Um, that is part of our makeup, and that was supposed to be to help keep us safe. Um, Also, so that we wouldn't all have to be exactly the same. It's a feature. Okay. Um, we were all also supposed to be immortal. Okay. But something happened. I wasn't here when it happened. I don't think Dave was here. They stole me. I was up there, and I watched. And I'm not nuts. Okay. Everybody was walking along, and then everything stopped for about a minute and a half. Then things blew off this big bright light, and time stopped, and people were like mid-stride walking, and it was about a minute and a half, and they were completely inanimate. Nobody died. They just stopped moving and talking, and I mean, stood still like statues, and then started to move again. When they started to move again, um, they forgot everything that had to do with anything like that. Okay, they forgot what to eat. They forgot about them. They forgot about themselves. They forgot about everything. Okay. So, and then on top of that, once in a while somebody would pop up and something would happen and everybody would freak out because there was a lot of conditioning too, which had to do with rapes and abuse. So then if somebody popped up now, oh my God, they have a coronary. They think that these things could be transferred through sex. A lot of people were also lied to and told that, which was pretty. So, there's a lot more stuff about them. So I'm not sure, but the species thing does make sense. It does. It might be why I was forced to meet with a lot of these different people. I call them people. Some of them were aliens, and I can't remember very much. And that's what my problem is. I feel that how can I make an assessment or give an opinion on something if they took my memory from me? To me, that's automatically not safe for right now. At least until there's like a bunch of big people around me because I don't like all this. Okay. Which is probably why they conditioned me to believe that they didn't exist so that I would calm down because that kind of stuff. I'm freaked out. They steal you enough times you get freaked out. Okay. I mean, they port right in and they just, you're gone. Dave said I used to go right through the ceiling. Okay. Or at least you know it for like 5 seconds. You don't know anything after that. You don't even know how you got or what happened. Anyway, I'm extremely hated, and the feeling is mutual, okay, by the lizard species. It's mutual. And I'm not afraid to say it. And they can hate me all they want. Because you know why? They ruined my entire existence. That's why. Okay? And they ruin other people's existence. And they take people and they edit them. So with this cannibalism thing, I'm wondering myself, are we really dealing with aliens, like another, you know, or are we dealing with converted humans that the visitors count? Because I've seen them do some stuff. So I'd like to know that one. I don't know if the people who drink out there know this, but at one time, this would have been when I was young. I remember this. They actually used to kidnap people, take them up there, and hex and curse them with mental diseases that were made up, completely made up, and alcoholism and drug use. They would hypnotize them to be drug addicts and hypnotize them to be alcoholics. They also do things to get people to be very abusive. They don't want you to have fun with your kids or to hold them or play with them or dance and sing with them or be with them at all. Honestly, they just want to solve it. From what I understand, if they have kids, they don't get to spend time with them. So it's like some weird lizard resentment thing. Yeah, I don't. But there were species, I suppose is the correct term, that if they could pass an IQ test with 75 or above, then they were granted one of these. That's what they said. So that's something to keep in mind. The indigenous, most peoples were 150 and way up at the moment. That wasn't odd. All of a sudden, it became wrong to be smart. Did you know that? It did. It became a disorder, a problem to be intelligent. Um, and the first thing that they did was take away meat, limit us, starve off the brain. Then the contamination with the chemical food. You could think there are things partially for that. Both, actually. And then, only partially. And then, on top of that, um, you have the poison and killing off brain cells and then drugs. You have to question where things like meth came from and heroin. If you want to conquer the earth, the visitors make what's called visitors drugs. So that also needs to be, because you don't remember anything, even the fact that you were with the visitors, let alone did any kind of political research. And they might be putting that stuff out on the street. So I guess if you wanted the top of the drug cartel, you found them. Wreaking havoc on society. So either the people that I'm looking at have been converted, or there's something else. But people didn't used to be like this. They had warmth and kindness. They were not cold and heartless. And I'm not being mean. It's an observation that needs to be addressed and brought up. Something's wrong. when I detect something's wrong, I'm supposed to say it. I'm not supposed to just sit there silently about it. I'm not picking. I'm not being mean. I'm not judging. Something is different. It's wrong, and it needs to be brought up because it's tearing everything apart. It's tearing everybody apart. Um, as for the different species, I don't I don't remember exactly, but I think they were spread out into different continents and areas. Um, but obviously people were allowed to move around. So that was I don't know when. Um, I really don't. But then it might still be going on today for all I know. Okay. um, then you, excuse me. I am clairvoyant, and Dave likes to mess with me and won't leave me alone. Between touching my privates and well, he was making me pee, pinching my boob and making me cough, or giving me severe foot cramps while I sleep, or because I eat meat, or making my toe hurt. I'm being driven up a wall, which is partially why I am so. Been dealing with this for 5 years, nonstop, and I'm ready to bang my own head into a wall because he just won't leave me alone. Neither will Kim. Could you imagine being completely asleep and all of a sudden your foot just cramps up and it hurts so goddamn bad and it's not a real foot cramp and you know it's not a real foot cramp. You know somebody is doing that to you just because you're asleep and they have nothing better to do. So anyway, or it feels like somebody's fingering you while you're sitting in the chair. That's what it feels like. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's no fixing it. You know, there's one way to fix it, but I can't say what that way is. There's one way I know to fix it. Now, the reality is that we're all supposed to be the same for the most part. We might have different characteristics. People change their appearance. Now, I want to talk about something because I'm going to get into something else. But I want to talk about something important. What did I just say? People could look at a picture and change their appearance, right? So if you could look at a picture and change your appearance, then what does that mean? You could be any color you wanted to. You could be any shape you wanted to be. You could have dark hair or light hair. You could change your eye color to anything you wanted it to be. You could have high cheekbones or low cheekbones, different kinds of lips, different shapes, forms. Okay. There's all this judging going on. Okay. Been dealing with these things for a really long time. Some people, just to get away from them and stay alive, have changed themselves. So you're hating each other because of your race, color, ethnicity, on top of other things. Does that make sense? As far as African American, I'm not sure, but we are exactly the same. That part I'm sure about. I think the visitors might have changed them long ago. I don't know why. They were just being. That's what I was told. They were just being evil. I don't know what the deal was, but I do remember being told that or shown that. So we are all the same. And to hate someone because they're this nationality or that nationality, or you can't. You just gotta use the law, okay? If somebody breaks the law, then you put them in jail. That's all you can do. Alright? That's what reality is. That's all you can do. As far as Everything else, one day at a time. Try to stay calm. Some weird stuff up here might have been put there by them. I don't know. But it does make sense. A lot of it does. And this stuff didn't pop up very often. Very rarely was it brought up to me. And I must have been young. Just like the Constitution. Basically, they came here and they enslaved us, okay? Because if I remember, people had like farms and stuff, and you could barter and trade. So, um, if your neighbor had peas and carrots and you had green beans and corn, then you could trade over the fence or whatever, you know. Um, or maybe this is how economics was explained. It could be. Um, but then somebody, Satan himself, Dave, Fred, whichever one you want to call him, woke up one day and decided that in order to help one of his neighbors, they were going to have to trade access to their privates. So to put a stop to that, people had to get jobs, okay? And we had to create money. I'm telling you, this might have been how I was taught about the world. So then people wanted to do things like share news and information, which is a good thing. People needed to communicate. So they had like newspapers set up, but they didn't want to volunteer because then they're working for free and they felt like slaves and they needed money too to buy stuff from the store. But the stuff that you bought was natural, it was good for you, it wasn't going to hurt you, it wasn't chemicals. At first, you only had to work a few hours a day. Then they changed it to 8. They took away all the art, stole it right out of people's houses. I think that's where some of the stuff from the loot came. I think this was back in the 80s. You'd have to ask Dave. He might know. Or surveillance, because I was supposed to be under surveillance. They would know what I was taught and told and what was going on. I found videos of me talking about them. I'm a little confused by that. He must have changed me. I was Chinese. He was French. I don't know when that's from, but I know that was me. So, they had a lot of fun. And I must not have slept. It was the 80s. Maybe these were brief. They used to take like do stuff, like they'll do something bad for a day or two, or maybe even a week, and then they put everything back to normal. Nothing is ever said. Your memory is erased too by what they do, and it goes back to normal, so you don't remember. Then I found video clips and stuff, and it was starting to jog, but of course it's not completely clear because it was so long ago, and it's a short thing. So I don't know. All I know is no wonder I did shitty in school. Because I must have gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep every night. I went to school all day long, and they must have had me up pretty much all night long doing whatever it was. Sometimes like they wouldn't do anything for 6 months or whatever, and then he'd start back in again. I mean, can you imagine just being in your house and you don't even talk to this person or anything, and they just barge right in and do all these terrible things to you? and you don't even remember any of it, and then you cleanse your house and you find out what's done. Could you imagine how mad, how incredibly angry that would make you? Or if you drove through the country and you saw landmarks, things that brought your memory back, that really made you mad, especially since you're the one that's supposed to help save everyone's life. And you remember what they did to you. So I think I'm doing pretty good because I can talk, and I think it's perfectly normal for me to be angry and even to have some shock. These are all normal things. This is to be expected. So, whatever this memory swiping thing is going on, it's not healthy. This is not good. This is not safe. Should not be happening. This is freaky stuff. Oh, this is freaky. People eating. I really do wonder if the visitors did that. I think they might have, and that needs to be handled because we're really not supposed to eat ourselves. We're really supposed to eat cow. It's always been that way. But they may have taught people wrong or expected them to like ask permission for participating with them, cooperating with them. And how do I explain this? It's a very evil thing that they did, um, because, well, we never were supposed to eat people at all. So if they told people to eat people, um, they were calling themselves. In other words, you're helping us and we're eating people, and you're helping us, so here, why don't you eat people too? Sort of evil. That's if that's what's going on. All throughout time, there might be one cannibal story that you hear of every now and again. Some poor guy who got stuck in a cave or something with somebody else and they lost their mind, or the guy died or something, and that's what they did to stay alive, while they were trapped. And I mean, I'm not saying it's right then either, but I mean, you might hear of that kind of thing once in a while, you know, very, very sporadically throughout time. Um, but when you're going into public bathrooms and you're smelling human blood, or you've been shown things like trays of people food, like not food that people eat, but trays of people called people food. Um, I think it's time to say something to somebody about that. Just in case they don't know. They might, but what if they don't? It's not okay. It's never been okay. Or, like, just like detecting lizard blood. If I smell lizard blood, I'm supposed to say, just so that they know. I smelled lizard blood in front of my house. There was a big spaceship in my front lawn. I had to go. I'm sorry. I know it's a big pain in the butt, but that I had to go. There's abductees on the ground. They need my help. You can't get through to the government. They all left. They went on sabbatical in the middle of an invasion. Multiple invasions. Communist and lizard. So Um, Something had happened long ago. Well, I think it was probably 2009. There were people that were all excited. Apparently, they had never seen this before, or they did not know. And to them, it was new and hip. There are spaceships, and there are people that are aliens, and they're letting us ride in their gliders. And this is cool. Uh. uh, can we revert back to Stranger Danger, please? Okay. Please don't get sucked in or roped in. These are not your friends. They're your foes. I'm not being mean. I don't think it's that way for all of the aliens. The Greys might not all be bad. I don't know, but people eaters, people food, vaginal lips. Yeah, I just okay. Not our friends. Stay away from the ships. Okay. Maybe somebody can confirm for me if buildings popped out of the ground at one time. Just all of a sudden they were there. Just like that. I found pictures of the circle ones that the circle buildings that they still have. They used to use those, I think, to take you in there and do like mind warping things or kind of like a movie set, but it's not a movie set. Basically, like self esteem robbing and abuse and sort of like skit type things. I know they've brought like a big group. They'll bring like a big group of people onto the ship. They'll steal you all, like you and 5 people you know or 10 people you know, and they'll curse you all with a cough, or you'll end up having like a shared memory, because you were all there. But I did find pictures, so I wondered about a lot, but I'll never find out. There might have been another Dave, I don't know, one that has something to do with this or not. But yeah, that's where all the different species were supposed to go. And of course, back in December, right before this so-called virus hit, the Amazon burned. Oh no, that was in December. That was in the summer. That happened. Talk about making somebody really out of nowhere. You just can't stop, can you? Then were the animals. Again, you can't stop. You just can't help yourself. It's like people eating, animal killing, planet destroying. On top of that, you got communists. Now you've got necrophiliacs and people eaters. Ever wonder why they're hated? Not to mention sex trafficking and human trafficking, because they're part of it too. I mean, I know they are. You know how I know? I looked in the mirror and I found the light faint V on me. I was betrothed from birth. So it's not right for them to keep him from me or me from him, and it's also not right for the people to help. That's really none of their business. I think I was dancing with my kids and playing. There's actually a video of me dancing with Mackenzie, and I think they actually barged in here also. We're having too much. I need to go because I need to smoke. You know what else? Um, how about some furniture, some purses, some belts, boots, that's a luggage. How about getting our people back and our resources back, gold back, our lives back, and our planet back? Then we'll stop being so mad. Oh, and my kids back. How about that? Because these are some very nasty things. Very, oh boy, you gotta do something. Nasty things. This is one of them things you just can't ignore. No getting around it. Oh, and then let me explain what they do. See, I detected this. I'm hoping I get this to be before something really bad happens, worse than it already did. This is what they do. Okay, they raise the prices on everything. Then something happens, and you lose your jobs, or you can't make any money, or whatever. You know, the employment rate starts to go up, or whatever. And then they turn around and start war because you get so mad. You get so mad. And then you fight in the war for a while. They let you beat each other up, and then they let you tear everything apart. And then after everything's torn apart and you're beaten down, whatever's left, well, they just literally vacuum you off. Big crowds of people. We're here to help. Pretty much dead the moment you stop. No such thing as hope. Okay. So that's my concern. Because then when they're done, they'll just dump the bones on the ground. Here's your bones back. I'm telling you, they think they own the joint. Like, we're their farm. No, we're not their farm. This is our home, and they invaded us. I think they were told not to come back a bunch of the times. I don't know why they did. They love messing with me. Yep, they sure do. They love messing with me. Never could figure out why they did. Maybe that whole edit thing really did happen. Just that would have been God, I don't know when. That's the problem, or how. That's actually it. Because I remember being a little kid, and that wasn't that long ago. So I don't know, unless it was something Dave did or they did to make me feel guilty or something. I don't know. But everybody starts freaking out that's down on the ground. They have a combination of things going on. They're hungry. They're not eating meat. Did you know that you don't realize it? I don't realize it. None of us do anymore. When they first took beef away from people, they like had a meltdown. People were having meltdowns, and somehow they like tranced themselves or um, like made themselves almost catatonic so that they wouldn't think about it because they were like ripping each other's heads off like crabby, arguing and stuff. And they didn't want to be mean to each other just because they needed to eat some beef and for whatever reason they couldn't. So you don't realize it puts you in a bad mood. That's one thing. And then on top of that, it does hurt your brain. Okay. And those things have a habit of trying to make us forget. There's actually people who have tattoos on them, certain ones. I know what they are, but I'm not gonna say to remind them. They did that to me. I didn't remember I was supposed to eat meat. I didn't remember any of this. So I'm pretty mad because that's pretty sneaky, pretty tricky. So that's not safe either. Nope. So, I mean, you're trying to live off of sweet potatoes and pears. Yeah, not gonna get very far. Or smeef, or turkey, like he likes to say, which you can just take turkey and stick it. I don't know how people eat half this stuff, but that's not me. They try, I guess. They have to. Gotta eat something. Um, but yeah, so people are crabby, you know, they're poor. They're stuck in the house, they're scared. Those things, instinctually make us mad. People start to act kind of weird, edgy, pacing, smoking a lot, nervousness, anxiety, fear might seem for like no reason. You gotta think there's also poisoning going on. So right now there's no such thing as paranoid. Um, they're in a bad mood, partially because some things that does that to us automatically. It's instinct. It's natural instinct. It's not even our fault. It's natural instinct. I don't know why that is, but it is. So you can't help it. So I don't know. I've got lots of memories of them. They're not good. Which, oh, by the way, can I ask a question? Why has the government um fought to get me back and traveled all over the place to bring me home, only to A, make it so I couldn't remember it, and B, why'd you even bother if you were gonna do this? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is it. So that's what I want to talk about turn